It's 7:00 p.m., so I'll call to order the Downers Grove Park District regular board meeting of Thursday, May 16, 2024. Roll call, please, Amy.
Mr. Bender.
Here.
Mr. Dahlstrom. Mr. Katula.
Here.
Mr. Lunt.
Here.
Ms. McDonald. Here.
Beginning with the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Let's say that this morning.
Do we have any changes to the agenda?
We have just one quick change. We can remove A5 recognition of commissioners requesting to participate remotely.
We'll go on to communications and begin with recognition of visitors. Someone in the audience would like to speak?
Online visitors, online.
Okay. Or then with any written correspondence?
We do not.
Move on to the consent agenda.
All right, thank you. We have 6 items for your consideration this evening. First is approval of minutes, April 18th, regular and closed session minutes, May 2nd, 2024, park tour minutes, treasurer's report, investments, payments of bills in the amount of $1,278,556.22. Payout number 10, Integrated Lakes Management Incorporated, Natural Areas, 3-year maintenance work from 2022 through 2024. And payout number 27, Hitchcock Design Incorporated, McCollum Parks Playground Design.
Questions on any of the items?
No questions.
Question or discussion, we'll ask for a roll call. Move for approval of the consent agenda as registered. Thank you.
Second.
Moved in second, so. Get a roll call, please.
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Mr. Lunt.
Aye.
Mr. Katula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald. Aye.
Next items, acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial reports.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Trish to introduce the representative from our auditing firm, Sickage, that will give a short presentation.
Good evening. In the packet, you will see the board communications report along with the annual comprehensive financial report that Jim will be speaking to tonight. But before I turn it over, I just wanted to give a few brief highlights of the audit process. This was our 7th year partnering with Sickage. We have 2 more years left on the current 3-year contract. Our field work was scheduled for 1 full week in February. We were able to get all the information sent over to Sickage early. They were able to start the process a couple business days early, and they were only on site with us at our office for 2 days, which was exceptional. It was another clean audit this year, and what that means is we had 0 auditor comments, and we had 1 minor journal entry that related to a lease calculation. And lastly, the fiscal year 2022 annual comprehensive financial report that was presented to the board last spring was awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting from the Government Finance Officers Association. This marks the 39th consecutive year the district has received this award. This is a national award recognizing the highest standards for preparation of state and local government financial reports. We will also be going for this award with the fiscal year 2023 audit. With that, I would like to turn it over to Jim Savio from Sickage LLC, who will highlight a few items from the fiscal year 2023 comprehensive financial report. Hi, Jim.
Thanks, Trish. Thanks, everyone, for your time tonight. I really do appreciate it. I'll apologize in advance. I had a kind of a respiratory virus for the past week, so I may have to clear my throat every once in a while when I'm talking, but appreciate your time. I want to thank Trish, too, and the entire staff for all of their assistance throughout the entire audit process. Like Trish said, went very smoothly again this year. They were able to answer all of our questions, get us all the information we needed. We met all of our key audit deadlines, got the reports out on time. So want to thank Trish and her staff for their professionalism. What I'd like to do is, like I normally do, I'll go through the annual comprehensive financial report, point out a few of the highlights, as well as the auditor's communication to the Board of Commissioners, and then be happy to answer any questions that you might have. So I'm going to try to share my screen so you can see the report as I go along. So bear with me for a second here. Are you guys able to see that?
Yes.
Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Worse, the same? Okay, cool. All right. So like I said, I'll start with the annual comprehensive financial report. And I will start with the table of contents and I'll put my cheaters on so I can actually see. But I'll start with the table of contents, just to give you an idea what's in the report. It's a fairly large report, so I just want to give you a feel for what's in here. So you'll see there's three main sections: introductory section, financial section, and then there's a statistical section at the end. So the introductory section has principal officials, org chart, the certificate of achievement that Trish talked about a few minutes ago, and then the transmittal letter. Then the financial section is the main section, starts off with the independent auditor's report, and then the management discussion and analysis. And I'll talk about those two real briefly in a minute here. Then we get into the basic financial statements. So the basic financial statements are what we give an opinion on. So it starts with the government-wide financial statements, the statement of net position or your balance sheet, and then the statement of activities, that's your income statement. So this presents the consolidated financial statements for the district. So it's going to have all of the funds combined in governmental activities, which are all your governmental funds, and then business type activities, which is the golf course fund. This has a long-term focus. So it has capital assets, it has long-term debt. So it's very similar to corporate financial statements. So if you picked up the report of Apple or Microsoft, it's going to be the same measurement focus basis of accounting. Now contrast that with the fund financial statements, the governmental funds. These are going to have a short-term focus. So they don't have capital assets, they don't have long-term debt. It's focused just on current spendable resources, similar to how you budget. And then there's a reconciliations on pages 7 and 9 that show you how you get from that short-term focus to the long-term focus. And then the governmental funds, they're shown by major fund, and then all the other non-major funds are combined into one column. After that are the proprietary fund financial statements. They start on page 10. This is basically a balance sheet, income statement, and then a statement of cash flows. This has the same long-term focus for your Gulf fund as the business type activities in those government-wide financial statements. Just has a little more detail, a little different format. And like I said, it has a statement of cash flows. After that are the notes to the financial statements on pages 13 through 43. A lot of great additional information that supports the basic financial statements and should be read in conjunction with it. I promise you I won't go through the notes to the financial statements. The required supplementary information, or RSI, follows after that. It has a budget versus actual report for your general fund and then your recreation fund. After that, there's some additional information on your participation in the Illinois Municipal Retirement Fund, as well as your other post-employment benefit plan or retiree health plan. After that are the combining and individual fund financial statements and schedules. So there's going to be a lot more detailed schedules and budget versus actual schedules in this section, both for your major governmental funds, your non-major governmental funds, and then the golf course as well. And then there's also some long-term debt requirements you'll see. So these are your debt service to maturity schedules for your outstanding general obligation bonds. And then after that are the stats section. You'll see it's broken into various sections. So financial trends starts off, then revenue capacity, debt capacity, demographic and economic information, and then operating information. So a lot of great additional information, a lot of non-financial information. a lot of 10-year trend data. So it kind of puts the financial statements in a proper context. And some of this stuff might be more interesting to the non-accountant. So I recommend that you definitely take a look at that section. So that's what's in the report. I'm going to talk about the independent auditors report real quick. And I'll skip through here. So the independent auditors report starts on page 1. And this is basically what we prepare in the financial statements. Management's responsible for the rest of the report. But I'll highlight the opinion paragraphs as we changed it a few years ago. They're now the very first section of the independent auditors report. And you can see I highlighted the opinion here. We gave what we call an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of assurance that we can provide to the district. And it says, in our opinion, the financial statements referred to above present fairly in all material respects the financial position of governmental activities, business type activities, each major fund, and the aggregate remaining fund information. One other thing I'll point out in the independent auditors report, like I told you that we give an opinion on the basic financial statements. So these other matters section on page 2 and 3 here, this basically tells you what we did with the other information. So that required supplementary information, which is the management discussion and analysis, and then that RSI section I just went over. We perform some limited procedures on this information. We do read it, make sure it's consistent with the basic financial statements, but we don't do enough to give an opinion on it. The supplementary information is the combining an individual fund financial statements and schedules I talked about, and we give it in relation to opinion on this. So in relation to the basic financial statements, they are not materially misstated. And then the other information is the introductory and statistical sections that I mentioned. We don't give an opinion on this information. We do read it for any material inconsistencies with the basic financial statements. And if we found any inconsistencies, which we didn't, we would communicate that to you and ask you to correct that. So there were no material inconsistencies at all. So that's the independent auditors report. Now, the very next section is management discussion and analysis, something that Trish prepares. Great overview of the district's financial position and changes in financial position. Point out any significant changes that might have occurred during the year. Has also some 2-year trend data or 2-year comparative financial statement information that you can't find elsewhere in the report. So highly encourage you, if you want to read one thing in this entire report, read the MD&A because it's a good overview of the district's finances. Now I'm going to just touch real quickly on the governmental fund financial statements and look at the general fund and the recreation fund real quick. So these are those short-term focused financial statements. You'll see I've highlighted the general fund is the first column, recreation fund is the second. And down at the bottom, fund balance unassigned is for the general fund is a little over $2 million. Last year was about $1.8 million. And each year, that's about a 6-month operating reserve, which is in accordance with your fund balance policy on page 20. And then the rec fund, you'll see, has an unrestricted assigned for recreation of about 3.1 million. That's pretty much unchanged from the prior year. Didn't change, increased maybe a little bit from the prior year. So very good, healthy general and recreation fund. And then the statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, again, for the general and the recreation fund are your first 2 columns. This is your income statement. You'll see you have revenues, then expenditures, and then revenues in excess of expenditures for the general fund and the recreation fund. Here you'll see $680,000, and then the recreation fund about 1.9 million. Then after transfers in and out and lease issuance, you'll see the net change in fund balance here is your net income. And then the last thing I will point out in this report is just the operations for the golf course. Another good year for the golf course. You'll see there's operating revenues, then operating expenses that come down to your operating income. So you had income of almost about $500,000. That includes depreciation expense of about $162,000. So you're covering all your depreciation, amortization, as well as your other operating expenses. And then the change in net position after non-operating revenues and expenses and transfers out, it's about $347,000. So that's all I have for the annual comprehensive financial report. I'll talk about the board communication report too real quick here. And then I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have. And I'll start here too with the table of contents. There's required communication that we have to have with the board each year. That's on pages 2 through 4. Pretty routine again this year. Like I said, we didn't have any delays in the audit, no disagreements with management. We didn't implement any new accounting pronouncements this year. GASB 96 related to subscription-based information technology arrangements was effective this year. However, we only found 2 agreements that were immaterial to the districts, so they weren't recorded. After that, we typically will communicate any audit adjusting journal entries that we found. I'm happy to report that we didn't have any audit adjustments at all. And we also didn't have any what we call past adjusting journal entries. These are entries that are deemed to be immaterial, but above a certain floor, we have to communicate that to the board. So we didn't have any past adjustments either. So very good job by Trish, having everything ready for us, fully adjusted, and no issues with the trial balances. And then the last thing I'll point out is the management letter that starts on page 6. And what this states in writing on page 6 is basically that we had no material weaknesses. We also didn't have any significant deficiencies, and we had no new deficiencies as well. So like I said, excellent job by Trish and the staff with this audit. So be happy to answer any questions that you might have on either of those reports.
You know where we're at?
So overall, looks like we got an A+ this year, correct?
Yeah, like I said, one of my old partners who just retired always said, yeah, auditing is more of a pass-fail class. So we don't typically give out grades. We leave that to the rating agency more or less. But no, you can see by the audit report the unmodified opinion, and then the fact that we didn't have any management letter comments, we didn't have any material weaknesses, significant deficiencies, or deficiencies. And we also didn't have any audit adjusting journal entries either. So that's those are all good indications that it was an excellent audit.
So the action we're doing this evening is to accept the audit. Yes.
Mr. President, I recommend motion to accept the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2023 annual comprehensive financial report and management letter as presented.
Second. Other questions or discussion? Roll.
I have a comment.
Oh, please.
Congratulations, Trish, Eric, and the entire crew. Excellent job. Thank you for putting together a comprehensive report the taxpayers, I'm sure, are proud of, and excellent work. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us this evening and giving us the whole overview and the whole presentation was very informative as well. Thank you.
Thank you very
Yeah,
much.
you're welcome. Thanks again for your time.
A second, roll.
Mr. Lunt,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Katrula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
Right, next item.
Next item, staff recommends approval of the Park Districts Committee on Local Government Efficiency Report, which was just approved by that.
Make a motion?
If we were gonna have a discussion, we would have had it at our last meeting. I move to approve the district's government efficiency report as presented and to direct staff to provide a copy to the administrative office of DuPage County and to the IAP.
Second.
Roll call.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Lunt,
Aye.
Mr. Katsula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
Kathy Mahoney also suggests that we put on the website. Moving ahead to the approval of safety manual updates.
Yes, we're seeking approval of the safety manual update to include confined space entry and rescue policy. The board has any questions, Dave Kozlowski, our superintendent of facilities, is here, and I'm sure he'd be happy to answer those.
President, I make a motion that the Board of Commissioners adopt the policy and changes to the safety manual as presented.
Second.
Second, another discussion or questions? We have a roll call.
Mr. Lunt,
Aye.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Katsula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
District-wide asphalt paving.
This is our annual district asphalt paving and looking for approval. It's in the memo for the considerations of bids, and I'll let Paul go over the process.
Thanks, Bill. This is our district-wide paving, but the majority of the project is the repaving of at Gilbert Park. Resurfacing the parking lots, the pathways, and the basketball court, which are all asphalt currently. And then a couple of smaller patchwork items that we had at a couple other facilities. We had a total of 5 bids, and our low bidder was Advantage Paving Solutions. And bid was within budget. We have not worked with Advantage Paving before, but we were able to speak to several references, including other park districts, and we believe they're well qualified. So we are recommending awarding to Advantage Paving Solutions. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question for Paul.
No question.
Make a motion to authorize the executive director to enter into a contract with Advantage Paving Solutions for the district-wide asphalt paving 2024 for a total contract amount of $184,123.20.
Second.
Second.
Another question or discussion? We have a roll call.
Mr. Bender,
Aye.
Mr. Lunt,
Aye.
Mr. Katsula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Thank you.
Next item. Kind of in parts.
We're seeking approval of an update to ordinance 1324, which is our conduct in the parks ordinance, to add 4.4.12 First Amendment activities. This is based on input from our legal counsel and the presentation that we had at our last board meeting. Eric and I audited all of our parks and facilities, and then Eric worked with legal counsel to create the amendment that is before you today, and we'd be happy to answer.
I actually did have questions.
There's areas that were marked in green that designate as a protest area that weren't maybe within the property lines. It seems, is it?
So those would be in the public right of way, similar to what happens in front of this facility on a daily basis. So they would be able to protest in those.
Well, that's what leads to my question. Can we permit someone to?
So we're not actually permitting them.
Okay.
We're seeing that within the red they can. So I'll use Lyman Woods, for example. That is a protected nature area, but if they do want to protest there is that right of way area. So we just designated that you can stand there by law, but you can't come into the.
We can tell them they can.
We can't.
So the golf course is another good example, is that you have a fenced in area. That was the example I gave with the green, is that along the sidewalk outside of it, you can do your First Amendment free speech rights, but because of the operation, it'd be very difficult to do it anywhere in the clubhouse.
And basically, we're saying it's not available within there. We are just basically telling them where they can.
Yeah, and I had a couple questions as well. The first is just, I think, unusual wording in section 4.4.12.2.2. One, the designated forums. We specify the designated forums in several of our locations, but at Dorhofer, we say the preferred space is open field. Should that be interpreted as that's not the required free speech zone?
So what we're doing there is the red areas those are restricted. Some of the green areas, those would be the recommended areas if there was any organized function. So for example, if there's gonna be an organized function, they have to go for a special use permit through the park district. Those would be the areas at Dorhofer that we would recommend for them, so they didn't inhibit any of the sports fields or such. However, if just you or I wanted to go out there and have our free speech rights, they don't have to go to those green areas. It's just a wording thing.
So it's for those people who get permits, just kind of let them know.
That would be the way that we would kind of sway them for that area. Yes, for those that get permits.
Okay, and then one of the things I was struggling with in reading it, with the official park bullet point, same section. It's the free speech zone is limited to reserved and marked space on the southwest side of the park along Grove Street. Now, hyphen doesn't seem to need to be in the sentence. During concerts, programmings, and events. Bullet point 2 has, or subpart 2 has, 10 by 10 foot spaces near parking lots, but official doesn't have a parking lot, so official wouldn't necessarily have the 10 by 10 foot space. So when 3 says anything not expressly designated shall not be considered a public forum. Should that be read that at official park, if there's not a concert program or event going on there, that park, because it also doesn't have a parking lot, doesn't have any free speech zones with it?
So if there is this was an area that we didn't actually have to include in the ordinance, but we chose to just to inform everyone. What we're saying for this is for any events, any programs, any concerts such, we will have a designated free speech zone on the southwest side of the park. Outside of that, when there's no concert, no event going on, it's just an open park. Free speech can take place unless it's an organized activity. If it's an organized activity, once again, we would have to go through our special use permit. But otherwise, if it's 1 or 2 people out there, they can go anywhere in that park and do their free speech as long as an event's not going.
And would be allowed?
We had quite a bit of discussion on that because that park in particular has a history of being a free speech area. And we've had situations where it would normally trigger a special use permit, but we find out that that's happening in like 3-4 hours, coordinate with the village to just make sure that there's some security. And we have allowed those events to go on without the permit. So we were trying to specify during our concerts, during our events, while as Dirk said, once you kind of do it, you kind of let it go, since we have a long history of that happening. If you want to do that, that's great. It's open for free speech. We would like, if it's organized, it's gonna be larger, to still follow the special use permit, but like I said, it's something we've made conscious decisions in the past that it was better to just let the free speech happen than at the last second try to require that.
I do imagine that is a hot spot for people.
100%. And the train station and official park tend to work almost in unison with each other. They seem to start at official park at the train station and then march official and that has happened a number of times.
The important part for all residents and visitors was that we were able to, during the events, the concerts, balance the rights of both sides, balance the rights of having free speech, but also the right to enjoyment of those there for the concert or during the event. So that was really the crux of having any area, any time when it was limited.
Yeah, and so, and we can do a scenario here, because obviously that's one of the most popular events that Downers Grove has, is our concerts, and they're great, and wonderful. And a small number of people are leafleting as people are walking toward Official Park. They're not in the park, they're on the park. This ordinance is not to stop folks from.
If it's not our property, then they can do that. On the sidewalks, on the parkways, that's their right. If it's actually in the park, if they're handing out leaflets, if they have a bullhorn or anything, it would have to be in the zone.
And one final question, I think it's just kind of a curiosity. Among our, what is considered free speech? I know I lost my place here, but one was, commercial sales, commercial sale of charitable, religious or political purposes. So commercial sale, business, commercial speech, not exactly as protected as free speech. Do we not ordinarily prohibit commercial sales on our parks on a full-time basis?
Correct, without, they would need a permit, usually it has a fee attached to that.
Right, but to be, just because it's counted as a free speech thing here,
Right,
doesn't mean this is just free speech. Commercial sales at our sites
correct, this will not,
are not allowed.
correct,
Under any circumstances and without some sort of.
I
correct.
think this was legal, just making sure they had that in there if need be.
But I don't want people to mistakenly believe that it's only part of this First Amendment speech, the sale of these things.
And for example, we've had some religious organizations that have rented the space from us. This would apply that they can have their material at their booth approved by us with the permit for the regular fee, but not just walking around.
Sell stuff.
Correct.
I appreciate the response there. Yeah.
Any other questions? Or-
No further questions.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 1328, an ordinance approving Downers Grove First Amendment activity policy.
Second.
And second.
Questions? Can we have roll call, please?
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Mr. Lunt.
Aye.
Mr. Katrula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Amendment to our filming.
Yes, we're looking for approval to amend both a full-time and part-time number 2 seasonal personnel manuals to reflect an updated dress code and PFMLI changes. And if you have any questions, Marion would be happy to answer.
Questions?
Question.
I'll make a motion to approve the amendment of the full-time and part-time seasonal personnel manuals to reflect the updated dress code changes and PFMLA changes.
Second.
Second, there's another discussion. We have a roll call.
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Mr. Lunt.
Aye.
Mr. Katrula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.
Board business. Have any comments? Been a long time to say this, but the splash pad will open next week.
Yes.
So, Dawn put together a great program. It's been very exciting to see. Busy week for Dawn after the first inaugural
Thanks, guys.
2024 concert.
Just for the board, we've had question or two, not a lot, about not having that overly advertised. It's pretty much been invitation only. That's been strategic on our part. We were concerned that 1,500, 2,000 residents literally would show up, and we're looking this as kind of a dry run to let Dave and his crew and staff to learn and guinea pig. So that's why we've kind of kept it low key and just an event like that. Dawn and I just talked, if there's residents or folks in the park and they see us, they're more than welcome to join by that. We're just strategic and not overly attracting for that. Soft open. Quiet.
It's very exciting. I just happened to be there the other day when I saw Paul and Dave trying out the equipment and not trying. Yeah. Testing the equipment and making sure the Geysers were still going, although somebody flushed the toilet in the bathroom. Same water pressure, really exciting to see. It was a beautiful day out and the test also saw the mini golf going on. Looks great there too.
If it's raining, it should have new grass in the mini golf.
Uh,
It's been a long time.
Well, for sure, Commissioner Lund might have mentioned that we were in attendance at uh, the historical program at the Tivoli, which was very well done, and Alicia did a great job with it. Her participation was noticed and very well done.
Well attended too.
Yeah,
It was a nice turnout from the village.
that, what was staff reports?
Thank you. I would like to echo Commissioner Lunt and thank Trish and her team for a clean, well, very organized audit. See from the size of the document, there's an awful lot there, and it just means that on a day-to-day basis, they're really watching how we track and do our money in that. So I'd like to thank her for doing that. I appreciate that. This coming week, Monday, Tuesday, I through the AI have meetings set up with different firms for Galwitz Park. So starting that process in earnest, those be group and some individual meetings on interest within the development, finance, legal community, and their thoughts on the project. Bob talked about the Venture Falls opening. The June 6th meeting, we had a workshop meeting on the schedule for the board. That was typically a hold for the master plan. Looks like it's not going to be quite ready for a board presentation, so most likely we'll cancel it. I haven't done anything official to that, just in case something comes up, but we'll let you know when we get a smidge closer. Last week, Commissioner Lunt and myself and Eric attended the legislative conference in Springfield. As always, very well attended. I met with a number of legislators, both in the House and Senate. The big issues really was preventing the OSLAD sweep. It seems like that comes up every single year. And then we also had a few conversations on legislation that affects us directly in the district. It's basically called Cooperation in Government. Basically, it's designed to tell the DuPage County Elections Commission, whatever their new name is, to cooperate with us, and they can't just commandeer our roads without some conversation with that. So do appreciate IAPD having taken that up. It's a very local issue, localized to DuPage County. We're not the only district. There were some other districts that have experienced the same issue, but their concern is that would spread. So we're looking to address that. That's all I have. Be happy to answer any questions.
Questions for Liz? Not, Deputy Director.
Thank you. Today, myself and Dave attended the preschool graduation, day 1 of 2. That was great. Anna, Sam, Michelle all did a great job with that. The kids were very excited. I almost feel like that was our completion of spring and everybody's gearing up for summer with next week. And I have to echo what's been said. Everybody is at full speed, it seems like. I've seen it across the board, concert series with the camps coming up, with the grass growing. I think it's we have a great group here and they've been doing a phenomenal job on getting everything ready. And then the only other thing I had was that some of us completed some recent trainings, and I just wanted to call that out. Dawn completed her first 2 classes for her master's in recreation, so that's exciting for her. And then Chris and I just recently got certified after about 2 months on an AI course with Stanford to start progressing and moving the district towards some AI initiatives. That's all I have to know.
Congratulations on reaching the course. That's awesome.
Dave?
Thank you. So I'll actually start with something that's not in your report, but as of today, we have sold 838 spray ground passes. That equates to 251 families. And 64 of those families reside in the 60515 zip code. And 187 of those families reside in the 60516 zip code. In your report, you'll notice there's some numbers for our camp registration. And again, our full day camps have already exceeded registration at this point where we were at the end of the year for 2023. Our other camps, more half-day camps, registration is still going on. We're slowly creeping up, so we anticipate being close to the numbers from last year as well, but we're in really good shape for the kids for the summer. You'll notice under financial assistance, we've already approved 11 families and actually approved another one a couple of days ago, so now we're up to 12, and I think there's 2 or 3 more applications that are pending. We had to turn one down simply because they just didn't submit the right paperwork. She resubmitted, and that was the 12th one we just approved. So word is out, and that seems to be people taking advantage of that program as well. And then you've heard this before, but you can see in the report, oh, sorry. We had 18 in total at the end of last year. So we're already at 12, so we'll probably, past that. I think the one lady that we just approved took her whole amount and used it for summer day camp. So it's their choice how they, choose to do that, but she chose, basically to put her kid in camp for the whole summer. So, and then, we've mentioned before, but this kind of kind of reinforces most people when they register now, 81% of our transactions are done online. If you had 3 or 4 years ago, probably would have been flipped. 80% would have been walk-ins. Now it's just evolved. So we will continue to update our business, practices to take advantage of that. I can answer any other questions on the rec report.
Yeah, the number that jumped out to me in a good way was the senior participation jumping from 40 to 83. Is that our friends at Silver Sneakers, or what's driving that, doubling that number? There's an April 5 adult senior groups are off.
No, those are actually general programs. So we call them general interest programs. That's kind of a broad category. So it could be drawing, the next day it could be a ceramics class, it could be, so the Silver Sneakers is.
They're kind of like, they're like one time, like we're offering.
Correct.
I'm just wondering what we did right in this year as compared to last year.
I think we've expanded our offerings. Based on survey results, we've asked that age group what they want to see. So we're trying to tailor those programs based on that. I don't think there's any one particular one that's jumped out that's caused it. It's just better options.
There has been a focus from the recreation staff to grow that area. So I think that's where you're seeing some of those.
Claire Kent has taken that over and she's very passionate about that. Claire Kent, she's one of our rec supervisors. Very, very passionate about it. I know she's done partnerships with the township, other park districts, various areas, to try to get more seniors, more adults interested in these areas.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big leap, but
It is, and it's not just
the biggest number, but it's
right. It's a bunch of classes, and it's not just the seniors. It's when we say adults, it's 55-year-olds, 35-year-olds. We've done a much better job, as Bill said, of providing a better variety of programs for them to choose from. So, and that'll continue to be a focus for the future. Along those terms that the Commissioner brought up, did we resolve the issue at the Lincoln Center, or is that still with the Silver Sneakers? Yeah. There's actually there's a BI in the board pack. We've actually added extra classes. We're expanding into this building with classes. The rooms here are probably twice the size of the ones they're using at the Lincoln Center.
So
that issue's been resolved. It should be, yeah.
The rec center will be a drop-in. The Lincoln Center will be a programmed one to make sure we can access the classes.
I mean, because when Mr. Higgins came here and presented, there was how many numbers we got there, I was.
So it's a good problem because it's a popular class.
See that we have adults and seniors leading our programs. I think we get labeled so much as kids sports, but I like to see that we're serving.
So are all those participants in that well, obviously the members of Silver Sneakers. Any of them, you know, if any of them are taking advantage of facilities here, I mean, outside of the program?
We'd have to run the list. I haven't heard that, you know, they seem to be more interested in that particular program. But we can run the numbers and see if the cross-reference, if there's any existing memberships.
Track or
Right.
some ways, so.
Mhm.
Bike or-
We'll cross-reference for sure to them, so.
About whatever's ready for you.
Thank you.
Management, right, into fitness.
Fitness, okay. So for fitness, you may have noticed in for the past month for overall, revenue coming in, we were plus 11,000. So we're pleased about that. Our full-time memberships continue to stay steady at over 2,100. We're starting to approach that time of the year where now it's weather, it's nicer weather. And traditionally in the summer, we've seen a little bit of a drop because people just are outside more than they are in the inside, but our numbers are maintaining pretty steady. I do want to highlight the personal training meet and greet day that we had. And as a result of that, we picked up 19 new personal training. We now also have 8 personal trainers on staff. A year or two ago, we had 3, maybe 4 tops. So we've been double that. So of course, that means we can offer more sessions to the patrons. So very pleased on that. And our insurance memberships, which is the Silver Sneakers portion, again, you can see that continues to grow and actually has surpassed the 2019 totals. So that is a very strong area of participation in us, and we certainly want to keep programming to that. So I can answer any other fitness questions if there are.
Thank you for including in here the numbers from a while.
Mhm.
I appreciate that those were in there.
Right.
Those, keep looking for those. Thank you.
Right, once the LAL opens, we'll see if we can get how many passes have been at that point, and then at the end of the year, we'll get a total to how many they sold. So I keep seeing the letters coming in, so I know we're still issuing more residency letters.
Yeah, I imagine the full ones are a little later.
Right,
It's not
right.
really prime season today.
Fair way to plan would be to go to golf.
Yep. Depends on his way to a wedding, so,
Oh,
That's fair way.
yeah. So a couple of things, obviously, the rounds and the revenue. So this year we are up over 2,100 rounds compared to last year. Our revenue, year-to-date revenue is up $95,000 compared to last year. And one of the things that Ken had mentioned is the Under Armour Tour, which is a junior golf tournament that has now become a regular. We've had it for a couple of years at our location. And like he said in here, again, it's not only revenue coming in April, which can be a slow time, but it's also a big marketing for the course because it is through the Chicagoland Golf Association. They do market it as well. So he's very pleased. They said they want to come back again. Hopefully this will turn into a long-time partnership. I can answer any other golf questions if there are.
other questions, on market?
Great. Well, thank you, Bob, for mentioning the grand opening of Adventure Falls. Again, that'll be next Thursday at 6 p.m. So far, we have 72 people that have RSVP'd. I'm anticipating at least 100 attendees, so that'll be really fun. We've got a short program planned with a ribbon cutting ceremony. We'll do a big countdown to start the water. And then the spray ground and mini golf will be open until 7:30 for people to enjoy. We'll have concessions, so come with an empty belly. We'll feed you while you're there. Other upcoming events that my team is handling is the first party in the park of the summer. So that will be held at Powers Park from 4 to 6 on June 13th. We currently have 6 sponsors participating, so that program seems to be growing as we have more community partners that want to participate, and we'll have a superhero themed event since it's at Powers Park. We're going to play off of that, and we'll have a DJ. We have Pride Fest coming up on June 8th at Fishel Park, and that is a partnership event that we're participating in. Equality Downers Grove is leading the charge with that. The
library as well as the park district will have tables. There will be other community partners there offering free activities, crafts. They'll have a DJ as well. And we'll be pushing a soft launch of the new story walk that's at Constitution Park. So we'll kind of kick that off, but then at the end of June, beginning of July, we're planning to host a dedication event for Constitution Park. We're still kind of coordinating with Senator Gloriak's office. We'd love for her to join us at that event. So once we have a date from her, I'll be sharing that with everyone.
I did speak with her in Springfield about that date and told her we would coordinate with her office to make sure she.
And other projects that the team is working on, obviously Marie is doing a great job with all of our new fitness offerings. She has a full lineup of outdoor fitness classes that'll be happening at Fishel Park over the summer. So we'll be promoting those. And then the team is just continuing to promote all of the season passes for Adventure Falls, still promoting summer camps. So, trying to get our numbers where we want them to be. So other than that, are there any questions?
So we can run a show for us and we show something there's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So, yeah, got a few speakers lined up and really celebrate the big accomplishments.
Kid is full of that.
I was thinking about that. I'm like, I was hoping they could come early, but I don't think that's gonna happen.
Stealing the show.
Yeah, maybe they'll wait until
I
after.
pushing.
Is there gonna be an alternative date if there's bad weather?
Not for Thursday,
Not for Thursday, okay.
We're not allowing that.
no.
Thank you, Don. Planning.
Yes, thank you. So there's been a lot of activity at Constitution Park over the last month. Our James Less, our landscape architect, has been doing a great job managing multiple contractors on that site. For example, our site contractor, when they finished preparing the area for the playground, excavating and doing the curbs. Once then the playground installer came to start building the playground, our site contractor moved over and started building the picnic shelter. So we had them working both on site at the same time. The shelter went up quickly and is now completely assembled. And the playground, we have our synthetic turf surfacing being installed this week. So if you stop out there, you can see that now it's about halfway, or they're probably a third of the way installing that surfacing. So we're in good shape there. What's left, once they finish that synthetic turf surfacing, is for the contractor to put in the pathways. We've got some asphalt pathways that'll be installed through the park, as well as there's a rain garden area north of the playground that has to be filled in and planted as well. But we are tracking to being done with the majority of this work by the end of May, so that we won't interfere with our summer camps that are due to start the first week of June. So we're in good shape. We're heading the right direction there. Quick update on the master plan, as Bill mentioned, we're making progress on that. Since the last meeting where we presented the draft priorities and goals, we've met with the consultant a couple of times to start then moving down into actual action items within each of the goals, developing those. We've got another meeting with the consultant next week just to go through those again, to get those ready our goal is to bring those to the board at the regular meeting in June to present a draft of that portion of the plan. And then finally, just the mini golf. We do have a contractor on site at McCollum installing the new turf, and that's been significantly impacted by the weather. The rain every couple of days has delayed the start of that. They're working now. We believe the forecast hopefully will let us get that finished up in time for the opening a week from today. They made good progress today, so again, we need it to not rain so that we can get that finished up, but close to having that done as well. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
How's the new tractor running?
New tractor.
Oh, it's
Kevin can comment on that.
Staff loves it.
I guess that.
Yeah, right.
Probably doesn't let Paul touch the trash.
Yeah.
Well, how's it running?
Good, yeah, it's good. Staff likes it, so that's a good thing. Parks and Facilities staff has been very busy. All the facilities are open for the season. We're currently working on getting official ready for the concerts. McCollum ready with the spray ground and mini golf and just very busy getting all that stuff ready to go. So this coming week is going to be a big week, obviously, with both of them, having the first concert and the grand opening for the spray ground. We had worked with the marketing staff and had 2 work days, one at Hummer Park and one at Fishel. So we got some mulching done there. And Commissioner Lunt was at Hummer Park helping out. So thank you for that. And then we also had, we planted 3 trees over at Patriots Park for Arbor Day with the Whittier school kids. That worked out. We had a great day for that as well. And then last but not least, you'll see out there a lot of playground mulch going into the playgrounds in the next probably 3 weeks. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Wondering the sapling is doing fantastic.
Yeah,
Got a free sapling.
yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't build a tree house in it.
yeah, right.
Before we move on, I just want to thank Kevin and the planning and construction team as well. James with Paul. Little over a year ago, I had some fairly significant concerns about the way the column was looking. It's our flagship park. We've put a lot of investment in that park. Frankly, it was a little rough around the edges, and I just want to thank both of them and their teams. They really, and Dawn had a part last year going all the way back with Home Depot and some of the work they did. They've really turned that around, and I'm actually proud for you to come out there and see it next week. I wouldn't have said that a year ago, frankly. I think it looks the way it's supposed to for our flagship park, and someone comes in there and they're not only gonna have a great experience, but they're gonna see how a park can really look. So I wanted to thank them. That was not an easy task. We had a lot of plant material that had aged over the years, and a lot of weed material that came and they really strategically looked at that and figured out how to bring that back. So I just wanted to thank them for doing that. So.
Nice work for the team. It does look great. Been out there.
It does look great, and I was there the other morning. I mean, it's a Wednesday morning, and there were 50 people playing tennis and pickleball. There's all kinds of people going around the track all morning. Playground's full. It's just great to see. And once the spray park opens, it's gonna be really nice.
I got stopped by 3 people just before I went over to mini golf asking where they can get the spray ground, the tickets for the spray ground. So I said, you got to go online. So, yeah, it seems like every day you get stopped by someone asking.
Encore?
For the month of April, the cash balance remains steady. Should be receiving our first property tax distribution here in the next week or so. Operating revenues are trending very similar to that of this time last year, with 12% of the budget being received. When looking at this time last year compared to this year, charges for services are still performing strong. Fitness is increased to 2.9% from last year, and rec programming increased 9%. Operating and debt expenses are tracking where we expect to see them. You may notice in looking at the report that some expenses may be tracking higher than others at this time last year, and that's simply due to the timing of when invoices were received and processed in the system. Specifically, debt comes to mind. We did enter those debt payments slightly earlier this year. Overall, the revenues remain strong and we will continue to see significant transactions throughout the year, especially as these parks start wrapping up and we start processing those payments to the vendors. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, we'll move on to IT, Chris.
Thank you. So staff is currently wrapping up the IT needs for Venture Falls, getting ready for the grand opening. Some of these items include a nice new intercom and sound system and a nice new digital menu board on the outside, which are, I think the public's going to see them as a nice enhancement over last year. Electronic door access control has been extended to all the pickleball fence gates. And also the front door and the rear door of the column maintenance building as well. So, all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Question? C-Star.
Not have a meeting until next week, so I do not have a report.
Unfinished business, or new business. Second chance to recognize visitors.
There's no online.
Go ahead then. We do need an executive session. I'll announce that the next Downville Park Board meeting will be held Thursday, June 6th. Right here. We do need an executive session. It's
Correct. We have to for a motion, a second, for the board itself briefly to enter an executive session. Under 5 ILCS 120-2 C1 of the Opens Meeting.
so moved.
Point of order, do we have to vote on our adjournment first and then go into executive session?
No, you're voting to go in executive session. When you're done with executive, you'll vote to come out and then you'll adjourn.
My apologies. We don't need to, sorry.
Well, we could amend it and have you do a motion a second for what I said, not to return to open session, and then you can just adjourn right there.
We won't have anything after.
No, I don't think so.
We could just do that.
So we're seeking a motion and a second to enter for the board and myself to enter into executive session under the Opens Meeting Act 5 ILCS 120-2 C1 and of the Opens Meeting Act not to return to open session. So
Second.
Mr. Bender.
Aye.
Mr. Lunt.
Aye.
Mr. Kattula.
Aye.
Ms. McDonald.
Aye.